Hello. I love the energy of that video. I actually couldn't see the screen, but just the music, it gives me chills every time. Thank you for joining us here today for the launch of the 2020 United Way campaign. Guelph is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We respectfully acknowledge the ancestral homelands of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Métis people and recognize that we are situated on Treaty 3 between the Lakes Purchase Territory, the traditional territory of Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. We also recognize that the issues that United Way works to address, including poverty, homelessness, and social isolation, have a disproportionate impact on Black, Indigenous, and people of color. We are committed to taking action to help eliminate systematic racism and create a more inclusive and resilient community. I'm Glenna Banda, Executive Director of United Way Guelph Wellington Dufferin. I've actually just joined the team over a month ago, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. When I got this job, I actually joked about the campaign launch because if you've joined us in the past, there's been these really exciting productions, and I was hoping that I was going to have the chance to do something like rappel down the side of a building or go up in a fire truck bucket or something like that, but today's celebration is a bit more subdued. But you know what? I actually really like that. Because after working in this wonderful community as a volunteer and a not-for-profit staff member, it's the people and the power of community and being able to see the impact firsthand that makes my job the best job in the world. We are so incredibly lucky to work in a supportive and caring community, people who step up and show their local love every day. Today marks the beginning of the 80th year United Way will fundraise and support what has become a vital safety net for our community, helping tens of thousands of people, your friends, your family, and your neighbors with much needed support year-round. In the past 20 years alone, we have raised over $57 million. And this helps during time of more stability and also during times of crisis. From providing over 50 local organizations with ongoing stable funding to helping with the community's opioid crisis with the supported recovery room last year, United Way continues to champion a shared responsibility for social good. The past 6 months have pushed our community to its limits. Unignorable issues that were a challenge before have been exacerbated due to COVID-19. People are reaching out for help with anxiety, food access, relationship conflict, depression, and more. Many people found themselves navigating support for the very first time. We actually shot a video a couple of weeks ago with a local senior, and she had shared with us how isolating COVID-19 has been for her. It was heartbreaking. And the worry that she had about how were her and her partner going to access food. She said that life is tough, but it's really tough right now. The good thing is that I'm happy to report that we've seen our community really come together over the past few months. Local frontline organizations have been working nonstop to ensure that those people that are in need are getting the help that they need. New partnerships have been formed and organizations are pivoting to deliver programs in new ways. You know what that senior is feeling like today? Relief, and life is so much easier for her. With the support of people like you, we have all worked to ensure that no one is left behind. In the past 6 months, United Way has distributed over $1.1 million in emergency relief funding, and that's on top of the $2.5 million that's invested on an annual basis for regular programming. Incredible. These additional funds have done amazing things for our community, and you're going to hear a little bit more about that today. For those of you who supported the COVID Emergency Fund and also the 2019 campaign, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your support. For the past year, we have been working with our partners to develop new ways to work together and adapt shared strategies to have an even bigger impact. One such strategy saw our food security partners come together and in 2019 to develop a community-wide strategy for a more efficient and effective way to provide healthy food to people in need. Partners met to develop a work plan with the ultimate goal of making a food-secure community. The work of this group wrapped up in February 2020. So just think about that timing for a second, because little did we know at that time that this work would assist just only a month later to help the Seed mobilize their COVID response. Gavin will speak more about this a little bit later, but I highlight this because as we are gathered here today in this warehouse space, we recognize that this is the most awesome example of what can happen when our community comes together. From the Wood Development Groups providing this space to the brains of the Guelph Community Health Centre, 10C and the Seed, to Linamar Corporation helping transport the food early on, to United Way and other funders, to partner organizations that help bring the food to people that need it. What an amazing example of what we can accomplish together as a community. We all have a role to play. Those of you at home, working from home today as well. You're an important part of the puzzle. The fact that I'm speaking to you today in this empty warehouse is a reminder that our community's recovery is going to take a bit of while. It's going to take commitment from all of us. Our neighbors need us more this year than ever. This year, if you're in a position like that senior that I spoke to earlier, and life is tougher than ever for you, we are here for you. Reach out. We are here with support, not judgment, for whatever you are going through. This year, if you're in a position where you can give, our neighbors need us. If you haven't supported United Way before, now would be a great time to start. If you have supported United Way, we're asking this year, can you do a little bit more? Let's show our community that we are united in local love. It's now my pleasure to introduce our 2020 campaign chair, Jeff DeRuyter. Jeff is joining us once again, and he's such a great, dedicated volunteer in our community, and we're so happy to have him on board. Jeff.
Good afternoon. It's certainly my privilege to be here. I noticed when I came here, I have my white mask, and I really didn't know what the rule was for if you could wear white masks after Labor Day, but I'm doing that anyways. But it's a great privilege to be here. Thanks to everyone who's watching this. It's really a highlight of our fall. We had a plan. We're an agile organization. We had a plan on the weekend, and that kind of changed with the rules around meeting together, and I certainly want to thank Colleen from the United Way for her hard work in adapting and meeting the change. We do have a number of guests here, and we're going to, at this time, all three of our political leaders, our representatives, will have two present messages virtually and also joined here by Cam Guthrie. And we're very fortunate in Guelph. The representatives that we do have in our community are great champions of the United Way, but they're very committed to working together with our community to address the issues, many of the issues that Glenn has talked about, and trying to make our community stronger and better by dealing with these significant social and challenges that we have in our community. So first we'll hear from our Member of Parliament, Lloyd Longfield, as the elder statesman. We'll have a message from him.
Congratulations to the United Way of Guelph Wellington for this year's campaign, Building Equitable and Inclusive Communities. Something we've all learned throughout COVID is how each one of us has a role to play in supporting the others. Whether it's wearing a mask, washing your hands, staying home, not touching your face, keeping yourself healthy so that you can keep your neighbors healthy. And also the small things we can do to help our local businesses, whether it's ordering takeout when you might not have otherwise done so, or going and making sure you're doing local shopping to support the people that are trying to keep their businesses going through this terrible time that we're facing. The United Way has reached into the social network in our community and supported people that need support. in incredible ways, and I'm so glad that the federal government has stepped in to support the United Way, but really it's the neighbor-to-neighbor support that we need. So any way that you can contribute, whether it's financially or through volunteering, please consider helping the United Way as they help our community.
We'll now hear from our Member of Provincial Parliament, Mike Schreiner, with a video message.
I want to thank everyone who's joining us for this unusual United Way kickoff during this extraordinary time. And I can't think of a more important time for United Way to raise the funds to support so many organizations in our community. And I want to thank United Way for stepping up with the COVID Relief Fund, which I know so many organizations have taken advantage of to deliver vital and essential services to caring for and supporting people in our community. I want to welcome Glenna as the new Executive Director of United Way. I know you're going to do a fantastic job and to carry on the tradition of work that United Way does in our community. I want to welcome Jeff back again as chair. I'm looking forward to working with you again during this United Way campaign. And I think it's so appropriate that this launch today is happening at the Seed. I'm a huge fan of the work that the Seed does in helping to feed people in our community. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to everyone who's working so hard to raise money this year for United Way. Our community needs that support now more than ever, and the work you're doing is making a vital difference.
Very thankful to our Mayor, His Worship Cam Guthrie, for being present here today. We know that he had a late night last night, but it's great that he could join us. And again, thank you to Mayor Guthrie for your, again, commitment to meeting the challenges that so many of our community members and our agencies face. So we'll hear from His Worship Mayor Guthrie.
Great, thank you very much, Jeff, and thank you very much for allowing me to be here. We may be a small group here in this empty warehouse, but we're very energized by all of you that's joining us here today or watching later across the city of Guelph as we kick off this campaign. You know, I always have said this story, and it needs repeating every year. I know that at the city of Guelph, we have the United Way come in often and has given a video to show the impact that they make within our community. One of the videos they showed a few years ago was the impact of a little boy that was funded through United Way to funding for Big Brothers within the city of Guelph. Just one of the many, many organizations that United Way helps fund. And after that video showing the impact of Big Brothers with that little boy, one of our own City of Guelph employees came up to the individual from United Way and said privately, just so you know, that little boy in that video was my son. And so I think it's an important message to say to all of you today, you know, you never know. It could be your neighbor to the right or your neighbor to the left or your coworker that's sitting in front of you or even behind you, or maybe even yourself, especially during this time of uncertainty with COVID, where you will need or others will need the help of the United Way. But that impact can only happen if we all give to the United Way and help them blow past their goal that they have for this campaign. So I ask all of you a little bit of a challenge, whether you're a family or an individual or a business in this city, check out all of the organizations that United Way makes an impact with for our community. Look into them. Maybe pick 1, 2, or 3, and think of those throughout this campaign as you give a little, a bit, a lot. And I would really encourage us all, as I said, to blow past this campaign goal this year. I know as a community we can do it. So on behalf of council and the city, thank you so much for having me here today, and all the best during the campaign.
Thank you to Mayor Guthrie and as well as to Lloyd Longfield and Mike Schreiner for, again, your leadership and your commitment to the United Way. As Glenn said, I've returned this year as a campaign chair, and it really, truly is my honor to have this role. It's a great chance to work with such an energetic and passionate group of staff and volunteers. and truly a group that cares about our community, wants to build a stronger, a healthier community, and trying to really make a difference in our community. And I really see that, and it really became clear in 2020. It has been a challenging year, but I think we've responded, and it's, again, a great opportunity that I have a great privilege to work with so many people that are committed to helping those that are struggling. Last year, our campaign focused on local impact, and we talked about basic needs. We looked at supporting seniors, connecting young people. We also looked at how we can provide and encourage positive mental health. And these issues really have come to the forefront in 2020. And when the pandemic came, we certainly were well prepared, I think, to deal with these issues. But as Glenn has said, our community just came, certainly championed these issues, and we're so thankful for our community, for our individuals, for businesses, and the government funding that we received and the things that we're able to do with it. Earlier and throughout the year, as we were looking at the United Way and the pandemic, I had the great opportunity to interview a bunch of community leaders from agencies that were funded by the United Way and what they saw. And there were a couple themes that really stood out, and Glenn has talked about social isolation. That was one thing that the community agency leaders spoke of. The other was around food insecurity, and whether it was extra meals that were required of being served in our downtown or our various food markets throughout the city that we're seeing an increased demands. The Guelph Wellington Seniors Association, the increased requests that they had to get food to individuals. We saw food and food insecurity as a real challenge, and we had an opportunity as a United Way to get leadership in that area, and I'm certainly thankful and appreciative of the United Way for putting together a community table with 50 agencies that looked at how to fill the gap that we had around seniors and getting food to individuals that, quite frankly, were very frightened, and rightfully so, of getting out in purchasing food. Something we often take for granted, and many of us have been blessed and privileged with so much food, and again, it's been good to hear from others, but how our communities responded. And so it's a wonderful opportunity for us to be here at the Seed today, and we know that great work, it's an innovative approach, and I know an award-winning approach that for the work that's done here, and certainly very collaborative. The United Way really is successful because of both individuals and corporate support, and certainly corporate support comes in a variety of different ways, and one of them is demonstrated here with the Seed, and I'm very pleased to introduce Susan Frassen, and Susan is the president of Wood Development Group. She was born and raised in Guelph and has been with Wood Development Group since its earliest days as Cold Point Holdings, and has served as president of Wood Development since 2016. Wood Development Group has so generously donated the use of this warehouse space that we're here today at the Seed, and the operations of the emergency food home delivery program. So I'd like to welcome her to the stage to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I am so happy to be here for the launch of the United Way's campaign, and want to thank the United Way so very much for supporting this community, especially during this pandemic. It is so critical. When Gavin from the Seed reached out to me in March to say, do you happen to have any space? We're looking at really creating a great program, a collaborative program that would allow us to service this community during the pandemic, as we know that things are only going to get worse. Our team immediately went to work, and we thought about this warehouse space and how it could be utilized to service the community. Knowing that the Seed were going to link up with the Guelph Seniors Association and the Children's Foundation of Guelph and Wellington, as well as the Guelph Neighborhood Support Coalition, we knew that they were going to create a data bank of information that would allow us to finally properly service this community from a nutritional point and supply groups like Chalmers and the Drop-In Center, Salvation Army, Hope House, and many others with thousands of food baskets every week. And that was critical. I mean, we've got so much to worry about during this pandemic that food and the bare necessities in life shouldn't be one of those things we need to worry about. So we were so happy to be able to provide this space and allow the Seed to use it to service our community. Growing up in a family business, my father raised us to believe that our business was in business to service others, that at the end of the day, our customers, our suppliers, our shareholders, our employees, and our community all needed to be better off as a result of us being in business. So thank you, Seed, for reaching out to us and to Gavin. We are so happy to be able to provide this space and do our part in helping our community during this pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan, and for your leadership in our community. We're really pleased at the United Way that we're able to support the Seed and additional support that we're able to give with the COVID fund, $70,000 earlier this year for the great work that you're doing. It's now my honor and privilege to introduce Gavin Dandy, who's the Managing Director of the Seed. In case you're not aware, the Seed is a do-it-together food movement working towards a connected community where everyone has access to healthy food. When COVID began our community's food security, the Seed stepped up with their emergency food home delivery program with the goal of delivering 100,000 nutritious food boxes between April and October. 100,000, that's truly remarkable. They have accomplished an awful lot in a short time, and again, at the United Way, we're very pleased that we're able to support the Seed. So please welcome Gavin Dandy, the Managing Director of the Seed.
Hi everyone watching in and everyone who's here, welcome. It's a pleasure to host this event here. It's an unusual event to say the least. Here we are, about 15 of us in this 30,000 square foot warehouse, and there you are out there. So thanks for joining us. And yeah, the Seed, I'm really proud that the Seed is a project of the Guelph Community Health Center and part of all the fantastic work that the health center does in the community. I'm also very proud to be here at this event because the United Way has been such a huge part of the work done by the Seed in getting food to people who need it and really trying to build a new type of local food system where people have access to food. If you think about it, many of you know this, some of you don't. On average, 13 or 14% of Canadians don't have enough good food. That's a lot of people out there. And in our community, Guelph Wellington, the average, we're slightly higher than the national average. So the Seed and our partners, of which there are many, some in this room and some of you watching in, and I thank all of you. Our vision is for Guelph and Wellington to be one of the first communities in Canada where everyone has enough good food. And we are not going to stop until we get to that point. And we can't do that alone, obviously. It would be silly to even try. It's a community effort. And I think when a community like Guelph and Wellington sets its mind on being better and being a better place for everyone, then we will always succeed. And the United Way is a perfect example of that. And the Seed's work with the United Way and with other funders is all about that as well. So I'm really happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to giving you a brief tour of this facility, and grateful that you're all here today and watching in. And please give generously to support the United Way. Those dollars go a long way to places like the Seed and many other organizations that are doing work in the community. Thank you. Am I starting with the tour? All right, we're going right to the tour. Now we have a moving camera. If you all want to, well, 6 feet apart, but come on in. We're going to go for a little bit of a walk. So Susan Frassen, who spoke earlier from the Wood Development Group, what an amazing woman and what an amazing company of people to donate this space. 30,000 square feet of warehouse with 4 loading bays for trucks. It's a dream that, well, actually, it's beyond a dream. We never could have imagined having a space like this. Now that we do have use of it rent-free, we intend to make the best use possible. We got in here in May. Since then, we've delivered about 35,000 nutritious food boxes to about 1,000 families, households in the community. And we're just getting started. I think that as awful as COVID has been, and there's no doubt that it's been one of the most devastating things to happen in my lifetime, where there's a crisis, there's opportunity. And I think I've seen the results, like really positive things coming out of this crisis, and this warehouse is one of them. We intend to equip this warehouse so that it's a community asset for years to come, so that it outlives COVID. So when this warehouse is in its prime, COVID is a memory in this community. But the fact is that we need this warehouse and facilities like this to tackle food insecurity so that everyone in Guelph and Wellington has enough good food to eat. This is a piece of the puzzle. This is not the whole piece, not the whole puzzle, this warehouse, but it's a piece of a puzzle, of a strategy that the Seed and our food provision partners, of which there are many in Guelph and Wellington, doing similar work to the Seed, and I thank them all. We are not going to stop until we have a strategy in place and we implement that strategy to make sure that everyone in our community has enough good food to eat. This warehouse is exciting because it's so big that we can share it with many of our food provision partners. We're within about 8 weeks over there, we'll have a very large walk-in cooler to hold about 60 to 80 tons of food at a time. We'll have a large walk-in freezer for frozen, high nutrition foods to be stored. So food comes into the warehouse, it gets stored, it gets packed, and it goes out. And it goes out to families all across Guelph and Wellington. And it's delivered by the Seed volunteers, and by volunteers of other agencies. And it's just a wonderful thing to behold when you're in here and this place is busy, as it will be in about an hour when our volunteer packing crew comes in and packs boxes that are going to go out the door. So I just can't, as awful as this situation is, I can't be more grateful than I am right now to work in a community like Guelph and Wellington, where when there's a crisis, the community rises to it and becomes even stronger and responds in a, not only a loving way, but in a really smart way. And we've had so many volunteers helping us since April. I mean, I thought we had a lot of volunteers before, and now it's just off the charts. Hundreds of volunteers helping us to pack and deliver food. And we've had funders in the past, but we've got funders just coming to us and really, really interested about how they can help and how they can contribute. And I couldn't be more grateful for that. We have our partners, we have the support of the Community Health Center and their leadership, Susan and her team, United Way. I mean, this is a huge community effort here in the warehouse, and I think it's just a mirror image of what's happening across the community with all projects. So many projects doing good work that are all about collaboration and many groups coming together and volunteers. So I'm proud to be just one of the places in our community where this kind of work is happening and where people are coming together to make positive change. So I'm looking forward to this being the community food warehouse for decades to come, and for this to be an important part of our food security in the future. Thanks for joining, and thanks everyone today, and thank you to the United Way. Please give generously.
Thank you, Gavin, for that tour and just the overview of what goes on here. And what really spoke to me is opportunity. And as negative and challenging and difficult as the COVID has been, it really has been an opportunity for our community. And we really see it in the amount of groups that come together and to address these issues that were here before COVID and clearly will be here after. We are very fortunate in our community to have support, and one example of just tremendous support we get on a corporate level is from John Sleeman. Sleeman Breweries, and John Sleeman has been one of our longest standing corporate supporters at the United Way. And this is pretty remarkable, but Sleeman Breweries has been supporting the United Way campaign for many years, surpassing $1 million that they've raised through their United Way campaigns. And again, we're very thankful, and that truly is remarkable. Sleeman Breweries was the first business to contribute to our local COVID-19 Community Response Fund, and we're so thankful for their ongoing support. So it's a great honor to welcome John Sleeman to say a few words.
Thank you, Jeff. Like everyone who's spoken before me today, I'll reiterate that it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to yet again be part of a kickoff ceremony, although it's a little pared down from what we've done in the past for the launch of this fall's campaign. I'll make my remarks brief because it's pretty hard for me to outdo what the people have said before me today. But I'd like to reiterate that in our group of companies, the brewery, the distillery, and indeed in our Sleeman family, we feel particularly fortunate, but we also realize there are many who are less fortunate. And it falls to us and the people in the business community to recognize that. And to the extent that I can encourage other business operators in the area of Guelph Wellington to do whatever they can to support the United Way. You know, we have these campaigns every fall, but the problems don't just happen in the fall, they happen all year. So this is a time for us to get out from behind our desks, whether they're at home or whether they're in the brewery or the distillery or wherever, and realize that we also need to spend some time to consider those people who need help. This area has received and distributed over $850,000 just during the COVID time period, thanks to the people here at the United Way. And it doesn't appear that this COVID situation is going to get resolved anytime soon. So I know that our employees at the brewery and the distillery have been able to continue with their donations during this time. Certainly our companies will continue to match those donations. So I guess my ask to the people in the business community is, as I said, if there's any way that you can find it in your hearts to support people who need help, particularly at this time, that's incredibly important. And I would encourage you to do that. We are delighted to be associated with the United Way. We will continue to be associated with the United Way. We thank the United Way for being such a well-organized organization so that so little of the money that is donated ends up in administration and so much of it goes to the people who need it. And that's why we're going to continue to support it, and I hope you will too. Thanks very much. Back to Jeff.
Thank you, John, for those words, and again for your ongoing leadership and really challenging our business community. We do know that 2020 will be a challenging campaign for the United Way. That's really clear. But we also know that we have a very generous community. We have individuals that have, for many years, supported the United Way. We have businesses and public institutions that have been great supporters. Really what our ask, and Glenna spoke of this at the start, we're really asking, we know that there are people, there's individuals, there's companies that fortunately are able to continue to do well, and we ask for people to continue to give. If you can give extra this year, please do so. One of the things that we've really focused on at the United Way is the word united. We're in this together, and it is about community, and we know from all of our campaigns that it takes the entire community to be successful, and we know especially this year that is what it's going to take. And we know that we have such committed agencies and organizations and programs in our community, and we know together that we can be successful and that we can look after those in our community that are struggling. So thank you for giving. Please do continue to give, and thank you for joining us today for the kickoff, and we look forward to an outstanding campaign. Be safe, be well, and again, thank you.